couple of false starts. Apparently, my stream setup, my OBS, apparently it's glitching today. And when you go to post on Twitter or on X that you're going live, it also launches you into live automatically. So that was fun. So sorry about the couple of false starts this morning. The first time I thought I did it myself. The second time I was more like, I was like, okay, clicking on just the share the stream, not the go live yet. And it went live anyway. So yeah. But anyway, welcome to the Monday show. On the Associated Guests, I am always as your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, breaking news: 8 Democrats break with the party and vote with Republicans to finally end the fucking shutdown. Imagine that the week after their primaries, and they pass all their things. Now 8 of them aren't scared to break from the party anymore, showing and we'll get a little bit more because there are some extinction level threats or posts on X. Sorry, I just watched Deep Impact, so extinction level threat is on the right on the cusp of my mind. A dumb streamer gets into a car wreck on live stream. We'll see that with Asmongold. Ubisoft claims they destroyed gamers. We'll see how they did. Square Enix Western officer freaks out, and RockStar Games gets exposed by Insider. Let's get started with, finally, people are going to get their benefits and people are going to start getting paid in the government.
Let's begin with Madeline Rivera live from Washington with the latest on when we can expect this shutdown.
And yes, I know it's Fox News. I don't like using Fox News either, but they're the first ones that popped up. So
to officially end. Maddie, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Well, the vote the Senate took overnight is the first step in a series of procedural maneuvers. And of course, the House will have to vote on the package, too. So it will take a few more days before the government reopens. But Sunday's vote was the first clear sign that a bipartisan deal had been reached after a roughly 40-day stalemate. The Senate voted 60-40 to back a revamped GOP funding bill that would keep the government open until the end of January. 8 Democrats joined Republicans to pass the bill, including Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, Senators Tim Kaine, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Jackie Rosen.
What's a minority whip? That sounds just bad.
To show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me just say this: with the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement, but waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome. So let me be clear. No one in the Senate chamber.
Okay. So that's a horrible nickname, but the assistant minority leader, the assistant to the majority and the minority leaders of the House are called whips. I don't like using this word, but that seems pretty problematic to me. But continuing.
To extend the ACA tax credits more than I do.
I joined this group to make sure that we could get important protections for federal employees. And what we have in this bill is the restoration of all the furloughed employees and a guarantee of their back pay.
So despite them touting what they did get, these Dems are facing criticism from their party because the package does not include a deal on Obamacare subsidies. It only includes a guarantee on a vote for the tax credits, far from what progressives and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had pushed for.
Tonight, 8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. We got a lot of work to do, but to be honest with you, tonight was not a good night.
Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna.
I don't understand why they're pissed off that the government will reopen, which means people will get their SNAP benefits and all this other stuff. And they didn't even pass the thing that got the government shut down in the first damn place. I don't understand what the problem is.
Is already targeting Schumer, saying Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Moving forward, senators need to reach a time agreement before holding
Ro Khanna's a dipshit.
a final vote on the package. Then it will only need a simple majority to pass the upper chamber. Todd.
Miles to go before we sleep. Maddie, thank you. With that, let us bring in former advisor to Donald Trump, Jason Miller. And Jason, you heard in Maddie's report the Democrats touting all of the things that they got. But to me, they didn't really get anything. All they got was a promise to hold a vote on Obamacare subsidies. So, Jason, what was the point of all this?
Well, exactly. There was no point. This entire shutdown was unnecessary.
It was
unneeded. And the only reason why it happened is because Senator Chuck Schumer and other Senate Democrats are scared to death of the extremist wing of their party, the AOCs, and they're worried they're going to get primary challenges.
This is 100% true. I don't think Chuck Schumer has to worry about AOC directly, but I do have to think he has to worry about being primaried, which is fine by me because the motherfucker should retire. Like, take Nancy Pelosi's lead. And honestly, we do need to introduce term limits. And I can't remember who said it, but some billionaire said, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't like Musk or Soros or anything, but it was was it Ted Nugent? The guy who everyone compares to Nancy Pelosi when it comes to his stock portfolio. He said, I'll tell you what'll really get these guys going. Anyone who votes to shut down the government doesn't get paid or can't go for re-election or some such. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Really think that there's going to be a reckoning here, both from Americans, travelers who were stranded at airports or had flights canceled, members of the military who had to stand in line for food banks because they didn't have money coming in because of what the Senate Democrats did. And also, I think there'll be a reckoning, as we saw from Ro Khanna saying this about Senator Schumer, from the extremist left within the Democrat base saying, Chuck Schumer, why did you cave? So this was completely unnecessary. It was unneeded all along. Senator John Thune said.
And also, Schumer didn't cave. He held out and made sure that many Americans starved or missed bill payments or just lost flights to get home for the holidays. But he didn't cave. It was 8 other ones, and they didn't cave. They did what was right for America, albeit they did it after their party's elections were finished, but they still did it. And I will say, the one guy, the one who had Fetterman. Fetterman has been voting with the Republicans this entire time. So he's the only brave one. He's the only one who is doing what he's doing for the American people. And I say that above Democrats and Republicans in this.
Just simply pass the continuing resolution, open government, then we could talk about health care. But instead, Chuck Schumer decided to hold everybody hostage.
Again, the exact same continuing resolution that everybody voted for back in March. Nothing changed except for the primaries from the left that you just mentioned. For the rest of this week, Senate Democrats can really do this the easy way, or they can do this the hard way. They can fast track the process to get this to the House quickly, or they can force it to just drag on all week long. Which path do you think the Democrats in the Senate will choose?
They're going to drag it.
I think even though many of the Senate Democrats will echo the thoughts of Bernie Sanders saying that they didn't like this vote, I think the reality is that the vast majority, the biggest group of Senate Democrats are glad that some of their colleagues caved because this is what everybody wanted. There was no one.
We call them cowards.
Thank you for
like literally everyone who did this are dipshit grifters and cowards, people who are afraid of their own party. That's what politics has become. It's a big old bullying game, and you will vote with the party or the party will kick you out.
Keeping the government shut down.
I hope Fetterman wins. I hope they try to primary him and he wins.
Secretary Bessent saying the impact that this has had on the economy, and Americans want to get going with life, and we don't want to be held up and held hostage by nonsense political games.
All right, I'm going to put this in the category of good news, even though obviously we didn't need to get here this way. This other thing could really be good news. Let's get to this now. President Trump promising a tariff dividend to all Americans. Quote, People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Record investment in the U.S., plants and factories going up all over the place. Here's the key part.
Please be anyone like less than 80,000, because just due to inflation and all that, please be anyone less than 80,000, and please be like three grand. That's all I'm asking. Please, please, please.
Jason, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. Jason, how realistic is this? Could our bank accounts actually see a boost?
And again, just like the Doge dividend, I really hope that they are talking about this after they confirm that they're going to do it, or can do it even, because we never saw that Doge money, and I really would have loved to see that $5K from the Doge savings, but you know how it is.
I love this idea from President Trump, and this is the way that he always looks outside of.
One more thing. Sorry, I keep interrupting. You'll notice that a bunch of people are saying that Trump was against the Biden dividend, and I'll say, yes, he was. But that was after giving to himself. And he was against the Biden one because he wanted to open everything back up. That's the only reason he was against the Biden one, because we didn't need it, because it was unnecessary. I still used it, and I used it to benefit my situation, paid off things. But at the same time, yes, he was against the Biden one because we were supposed to have opened up by then. This was after COVID, and yes, after COVID, and Trump sent out two before that. So he's not against giving the American people money, as a lot of grifters like the Krasensteins are saying on X. He is merely against unnecessary handouts. But given the Democrats' government shutdown, them throwing a little tantrum while the Republicans are in power, which I completely understand, because I'm not a big fan of the Republicans, but they are speaking my language more of late than the crazed, afraid of the extreme wing of their party, Democrats. Yeah, let's go. Give me money.
We're still digging our way out of the hole that Joe Biden left us. 4 years of absolute financial chaos. And we're seeing what President Trump is doing with the big, beautiful bill, and no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. But many Americans are still struggling to get back on foot after what they saw from Joe Biden. And so I think this idea to take $2,000 per person with the exception of the higher wage earners, and say, let's give Americans a little bit of a boost.
And let's have that be anyone like 6 figures and up.
Here, let them get some of that credit that's coming in from the tariffs. I think it'll be a great shot in the arm. It'll dovetail right with what President Trump is doing by bringing down gas costs and other costs and keeping inflation low. So I love it. I hope they do it.
I hope they can do it, but also pay down the
and do it before Christmas.
$7 trillion in debt that you heard the president mention there. If they can do both, I think that is a win-win, but we will see. Jason,
hell yeah.
For getting up with us on a Monday.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
All right, so let's go through and see some bullshit that people are freaking out about. John Fetterman talking about it. Hassan Abi, that's right, Hassan Diddy bin Laden Piker himself saying, I hate this motherfucking ogre so much. Yeah. Hey, look, Evan, for those of you that don't know, Evan Loves Worf is a fucktard. He's nothing but a grifter, shill online, and don't pay attention to anything he says. Also, go watch the Sydney Sweeney movie Christie, because I hear it's actually good, but it's doing horribly because she's been blacklisted from Hollywood, and she's had 3 movies fail. And I hear this one's actually pretty good. A lot of other ones putting out list of Democrats who folded. These are them. And I even notice, what's that? Hispanic name, Dick Durbin, who's the whip, Fetterman, Hassan, Rosen, Shaheen. So this is a very diverse group, combining words here, of people here. Fire them all and replace them with actual Democrats in 2026. They are actual Democrats. Albeit, yes, they were cowardly to follow. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I thought my sound went out again. It was gross that they were following the party line and refused this long, but they finally saw reason, and we should forgive because they ended this ridiculous shutdown. It's wild that John Fetterman had a factory reset with his stroke and voted to end government shutdown. Again, extremely based. Are you all really that ignorant? Oh, yeah, this is him talking about how Trump...
After they railed against Biden's stimulus checks during COVID.
Again, he didn't rail against... Well, he did rail against Biden's stimulus check, but that was after giving out 2 of his own. You Krasensteins are the most disingenuous grifters on the internet. The fact that there's 2 of you just shows that this is what madness feels like. I love Ricky Berwick, man.
Somebody help! Call somebody! I'm being kidnapped by raccoons! No!
If any of you are on X, follow Ricky Berwick.
Somebody help! Call somebody! I'm being kidnapped by raccoons! No!
He is one of the funniest people you will ever see on YouTube. On YouTube, but also on X. My God, follow him on X. He is absolutely hilarious. And yeah, people saying that Biden never looked this old and tired. This guy has 3 more years. He looked that old and tired every day. Okay, he would fall asleep mid-sentence. Okay, Trump falls asleep once in the White House. So what? He's old. It was nap time. And he does, and it doesn't matter. I would rather him literally be wheeled in, falling asleep, and going out and kicking all the ass and doing all the things that he's actually done, like all the peace deals and the things that he's done. Because believe it or not, the tariffs are working out to be in our favor in a lot of things. That now, sure, it's not what I would have done, but he's using them mostly as bargaining chips, and it's working out. The only thing that they've done is basically everything associated with Pam Bondi. And oh yeah, what's that little thing? The Qatar Air Base in fucking Idaho that they're going to put in. But other than that, you know, I don't have a lot of complaints. I have, oh, fuck berries. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, skipping to the next one.
So this girl gets into a wreck. Kick streamer Jackie gets into a car crash on stream last night. Well, that's not very good.
And how many followers does this dipshit have? I'm just surely curious.
Oh, you know what? I can make ramen. That's fine.
Yeah?
I'll make ramen. That'll be it.
Oh my God, I can make ramen. Okay.
You filthy
come on,
animal.
let's see it.
Where's it at? Why did... Can you post it again?
She's moving. Why are you moving?
Take a ecstasy.
Like she hasn't looked at the road. She glanced at it right there. She's doing her chat, and she looked at the chat, not the road. Fucking dipshit.
You stupid bitch.
Exactly. Get yourself out of society.
No. Oh, wow. And you see her. Look at the amount of time. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Roshi looked at the chat and not at the road.
4, 5.
Yeah. A lot can happen in 5 whole seconds.
No streaming while driving. 5 seconds. You weren't even paying attention.
Is
to where
this
you were
her?
going. But anyway, what an absolute dumbass. She wasn't even looking at the road 90% of the video. She's screwed. I want to see people like this get tickets and citations and potentially jail time for distracted driving. There's especially this much evidence.
I don't think this is her. I looked her up on Kick. It looks like she's maybe taking her channel down.
Somebody who's drunk. It's like you just fucked up on your own, right? She seems drunk, to be honest. I think she might just be stupid, okay? I'm not sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not going to lie. The Department of Justice should come down on every streamer who is actively engaging with their audience while driving. I don't get, look, if they're streaming themselves driving and they're very clearly not moving anytime that they interact with the chat or whatever, then sure, fine. It's a little annoying when they don't get up and go right at the green light, but whatever. They're not putting anyone in direct danger. They're just pissing people off behind them, if there's even traffic. But people like this chick, she like, and I don't agree with a lot of people being banned from social media for certain things, but this girl should be banned from streaming. All streaming. She should be banned from having any kind of paid social media account. Just for being a dipshit.
In today's video,
anyway, continuing, Ubisoft claims they destroyed gamers with Assassin's Creed Shadows and won. How did they win? Let's find out.
That the CEO is currently putting out there, ladies and
I'm pretty sure they're drinking a lot of.
Really should be honestly
or no, was it Chew? Is Copenhagen Chew? Yeah, chewing a lot of Copenhagen.
Will literally try to convince everybody that this game was massively successful, right? They would try to convince everybody that they ignored the haters or that they beat the chuds. They won over the internet. But what I really want to start this video by saying is that if you're out here trying to claim victory over the chuds, I don't really think it's a good idea to claim victory over the chuds when you were the ones that had to sell your booty holes for 25% of your most popular IPs to the Chinese, right? Tencent owns 25% of every single one of your popular IPs. I don't think that's a victory, okay? I just want to preface this entire video by saying that I don't think that's a victory at all. If you want to consider that to be a victory, sure. Go for it. But that sounds like a lot of cope to me. So let's go over this article from PC Gamer and talk about how the CEO has claimed that it just had to stop feeding the trolls.
And I just want to point out that PC Gamer used to stand for Personal Computer Gamer. Now it stands for Politically Correct Gamer. I don't know if they changed it officially, but let's be honest, that's what they are.
Guys, we're just trolls. That's it. We're all just literally trolls. We bring nothing to the table. We don't bring any conversation of gaming or anything like that. We're literally just trolls. When it came to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which very quickly eliminated the fights. Yeah, apparently they considered by ignoring us that it eliminated the fights with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't think that's true at all, but okay. Which apparently were just fake fights. They're calling it fake fights now. This is a beautiful thing. Remember when Assassin's Creed Shadows controversy? I barely do. Yeah, you're full of shit, okay? PC Gamer's full of shit here because you guys brought up the controversy every fucking day that you possibly could have, all right? You guys had articles on full defense for Assassin's Creed.
And I will admit, literally most of the videos about Assassin's Creed Shadows came out because the developers and people involved with the game were flaming people online. They were literally provoking people online. And that's where a lot of the hate and scorn for this game came from. That end, it was the first time they ever used a character who was actually mentioned in actual history as the main character, where normally you're a made-up character going through alternate universe, real world history. And then you just fucked everything. Historical accuracy out the window. Even like putting up a Tory gate that was put up after World War II in the game. That's set in like the 1600s.
Creed Shadows at the mere whisper of XYZ players engaged. You guys were one of the first people putting out an article. You're not fooling anybody, okay? If you listen to a very particular crowd back when it was revealed the game would feature Yasuke, a real historical figure who's been referenced a whole bunch in Japanese media anyway, you would have thought it was the end of days. Initially, Ubisoft tried to mollify said crowd, calm them down, which, well, it went about as well as you would
No,
expect.
they didn't.
Again,
They never did that.
People lose. Okay, I don't know how else to explain it. This is why these people lose, because they take the conversation, they misrepresent it, and then they bastardize it, and then they try to make it seem as if it's fact. These people know what the real conversation is, okay? These people know that when Ubisoft was making a video game in 2020, the year of literal DEI, okay? 2020 was a year that a lot of things happened. We entered the Twilight Zone in 2020, and DEI took massive precedence for a lot of companies because of what happened to George Floyd. So they all started doubling down and tripling down on DEI initiatives because of that. And they all wanted the virtue signal and be the company that is a shining light against the racism that George Floyd experienced. So it is not shocking that they decided to come up with Yasuke as the lead character for Assassin's Creed Shadows in 2020 when the game started development, right? But the funny thing is, they apparently had another character that they were going to go with until what happened in 2020, and then they...
And this is my biggest thing. I'm all for, I don't care if you put a black character in the lead role of Assassin's Creed, but either make it in America or someplace or modern day, anywhere in the West or Africa or anything like that. But don't make it in Japan, especially when fans have been clamoring for an Assassin's Creed game based in feudal Japan. Ever since they started doing, and I'm not going to lie, ever since probably Assassin's Creed 3, or for a lot of the fan base, probably from the time they stopped being really Assassin's Creed and started doing a game every year, like when they did Origins, I believe. People have been clamoring, oh man, they should do feudal Japan. That would fit perfectly with the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed formula. And then Ghost of Tsushima came out and they're like, oh, hey, we got this. We don't want it anymore. And then they decide to do theirs and then they fuck it all up like this. And again, if they wanted to make Yasuke a DLC character or have a spin-off game like Assassin's Creed Liberation, where the former slave became an assassin, that game was okay. I really wish it had been a mainstream title or a main title instead of one of the handheld titles, because it would have got a lot more love if it had been. And then a lot of people people are putting out that, oh, if they were mad about Yasuke, they'd be really mad about them. They were planning on, after they do this horrible witch-based Assassin's Creed that I keep hearing about, Assassin's Creed Wicked, Salem, or Hex is what it was called. They were going to do one that was basically the story from Django Unchained, which, if I'm going to be honest, sounds fire. It sounds absolutely amazing. People would love that game, but they decided not to do it because, like always, video game and all entertainment developers, creators, and such take the wrong message from things. People don't like Yasuke in a game based in fucking Japan in like 1600. And they think, oh, people don't like black people. No. That's not the thing to take from that at all. But when you choose to put your only black protagonist in a game set in Japan instead of a Japanese protagonist, people are going to flip the fuck out. Like the Japanese, for one. Especially when you pay someone so much money to make sure that everything's accurate. And not only do you find out that nothing's accurate, but you see little things in the background and they make prominent, like watermelon and shit. Which, from what I hear, historically, watermelon didn't show up in Japan for at least another 100 years after the events of this game. Tell me you're a dipshit racist without telling me you're a dipshit racist.
Switch it over to Yasuke, right? So it makes you wonder why you misrepresent all this stuff, why you decide to talk about it from a sense of, well, we all know what those people are. It's like, bro, why are you othering people? These are people having genuine conversations. It may not be conversations you don't like to hear, but they're having genuine conversations. And for you to basically bastardize them and other them and put them off to the side, you are no better than the people you claim to be against. That's the hilarious thing about this. Anyway, the sky didn't fall. What actually happened was the game sold pretty well. Yeah, how well? You got numbers? You got numbers? It never ceases to amaze me that these people will claim that XYZ game sold well, but they never have any fucking numbers to back it up.
Exactly.
Which is hilarious because you...
Or, like a lot of these people do, they'll change the terminology and they'll say users or gamers or whatever when it's out on a free service like Xbox Live or PlayStation's whatever the fuck it's called. They'll include those numbers. People, or downloads, they'll say it was downloaded this many times when it's free on at least one service, probably two, I think. And they'll use that number instead of people who actually paid for this game to try to trick people into thinking that, oh, this game's actually good. Not the case.
Actually have numbers on Steam, right? I think it's estimated to sell around 700 to 800,000 copies on Steam. You have some numbers, but you don't have all the numbers. But you'll be like, yeah, the game sold really well. Compared to what? It is the lowest selling game of the entire franchise in terms of volume, in terms of actual units sold. Oh, but I can already hear the cope, guys. You know what the latest cope is? Here's the latest cope. Every single copy is worth more. Oh, every copy is worth more. That's the gold standard, right? So the games are worth more money. They're more expensive. So that means that they made more money per copy sold. So they made almost as much revenue as the other games that sold more copies. But what they forget to tell you is that only works in a perfect world where costs don't go up. That only works in a perfect world where inflation doesn't exist. Where, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but the gaming industry has been trying to convince us over the last year and a half that they had to raise the price on their video games. They had to raise the price on their consoles. They had to raise the price on their DLCs, on everything, because of costs going up. So have the costs gone up or have the costs not gone up? Can we have an explanation to this, please? Because it doesn't seem to correlate. Anyway, the sky didn't fall. The game sold pretty well as an entertaining open world romp, and we all moved on with our lives. Are you sure?
Yeah. Sorry, real quick. Some X-tinction level tweets here. This guy. Okay, so apparently Christie is bombing. It didn't sell at all. But you have to take into account, one, this movie was not marketed hardly at all. Two, every time she went to go do an interview, it was usually from some crazy, ugly, large-chinned leftist who asked her about the jeans ad and the backlash instead of about the fucking movie. The movie looks like it's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It looks about the same level as that brother and sister that became wrestlers that had The Rock in it and the whole thing. But you also have to think, what else came out this weekend? A limited screening of Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's new movie, which is amazing, by the way. It's also on Netflix. But a lot of people, this is the kind of movie that you want to see in theaters, and it's being wider released next weekend, which is going to fuck with her numbers even more. But also, what else came out this weekend? Predator Badlands, a highly anticipated continuation of their new chapter in the Predator franchise from the same guy that did Prey, which only released on Hulu. This one opened to theaters, and it's doing very well, especially for a Predator movie. Considering the last ones we've had released into theaters. Prey was pretty good. I had some problems with it. From what I'm hearing, I'm going to have the same problems with Predator Badlands. But those movies coming out in the theaters, and God only knows what else is out there, along with this movie that's not getting marketed for shit, except for people who are familiar with it, like me. And I'm not going to go see it either, because I wanted to see Frankenstein in theaters. I know it's on Netflix. I know. But it's amazing. It's great. It's really, really good.
We did move on. In other words, Ubisoft made a Ubisoft game, which that's what I said. You know, I actually played Assassin's Creed Shadows and completed it. Unlike these journalists, I highly doubt they did any of that. And when I reviewed the game objectively, I said that the game has good moments and the game has bad moments. And unfortunately, there was a little bit more bad than good. But for the most part, if you really had to put a nail on it, the game was fucking mid, bro. That's basically it. The game was extremely mid.
It really was.
Some god-awful voice acting that they need to redo. Aside from that, it's a mid-fucking experience, and it is a massive letdown for an Assassin's Creed game based in Japan that people have been asking for years. It was a major, major letdown.
Yes.
But in any case,
it was horrible.
Nothing exploded because a Black Samurai was in it. Gaming survived.
Like I said, it was a decent enough game. But given the hype level, this is probably the most hyped game in Assassin's Creed franchise history. Other than the Black Flag remake, which I'm even skeptical of playing now. I'll probably just play the original.
Part of why Shadow's release was uneventful was in part because of Ubisoft's sudden pivot to essentially stop feeding the trolls. Speaking at a BAFTA event last year, former franchise head Mark Alexis Cote put his foot down. When we self-censor in the face of threats, we hand over our power piece by piece, until freedom and creativity both wither away. We cannot let that happen. It's time for us as creators to stand firm on our commitment to our values by telling stories that inspire, that challenge, and that help people connect. Our silence cannot become complicit. Cote did, however, recently get slowly encouraged to leave the company, which will go some ways to explain the level of cynicism I'm about to apply to Ubisoft CEO. Incoming words here, which don't necessarily match up to the actions taken by Ubisoft in the ensuing months. More on that later. The CEO more or less agrees in a transcript shared by GameFile of an internal company video that more or less goes over this process of inviting the culture warriors to vote with their wallet, which, as mentioned above, nobody did. So it was all a bunch of upsetting, racially charged hullabaloo. I have no idea what that even says. That's not to say Eve is quite as impassioned as Kote was, though he stabs at roughly the same gist. In September 2024, we had our backs against the wall, and that's when it clicked. To get out the corner, we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. We had to start firing up our allies. So we...
Hold on. Harry Sisson just irritates me. I'm so sick of weak Democrats. We need fighters who will stand up to Trump and MAGA. We need a big tent of fighters, not folders. As I've made clear, I'm a liberal. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're a hard leftist. Someone like Zoran Mondarny is farther left than I am, but I'd rather vote for him than a weak liberal who doesn't stand for anything. I will support fighters, not folders. Look, we don't need people to fight Republicans. We don't need Republicans to fight Democrats. We need people working together to try to do what they were elected to do. Campaign on things. But you have to realize, most of the time, no matter which party you're in, people vote on you based on classical values from that party. Liberals always want things a little more left. Conservatives want things to be a little bit more like they used to be, in some cases. But conservatives have come a long way. A long, long way. If I had the conservatives, maybe not today, but 5-10 years ago, in the 90s and early 2000s, we'd probably be a lot further left right now, and it'd be kind of scary. But we would have gotten some things accomplished a long, long time ago. The conservatives of 5 or 10 years ago were much more open to listening to what the other side was saying. And the left took advantage of that a lot, because conservatives are cowards.
We stopped trying to win the argument and leaned on what had carried us for 18 years, the Assassin's Creed brand. No. That's not it at all. What he decided to do was double down and triple down on chivalry. That's what he decided to do. They started paying all these content creators, like Fighting Cowboy, for example, who to this day had one of the biggest meltdowns regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows, convinced everybody that they were assholes for making it all about Yasuke and that they should just play the fucking game. And he has only one stream of the game.
Hey, thanks for the follow, man.
Stream of the game, and he gave it up after that. This man got paid or promoted to play Assassin's Creed Shadows, and he didn't even have...
All right, we're going to go ahead and jump ahead to Square Enix. We got the gist there. I don't really think it showed that Ubisoft destroyed gamers, but Ubisoft's going to say what Ubisoft's going to say, and the community is going to say what they're going to say, and then Ubisoft will continue to be consumed by Tencent until it doesn't lie in French hands, it lies in Chinese hands. That is going to happen unless Tencent is allowed more creative control and they start going back to square one and putting the same kind of thought and effort into Ubisoft's IP as they did with Wukong.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives into customers' faces isn't a solid business strategy. If you do diversity naturally, that is a great thing. But if you do it simply because it's on a corporate checklist, that is a major problem, and that is
and exactly this has always been my biggest complaint. Diversity should happen naturally, and yes, there should be. I don't think there should be quotas, but there should be an emphasis on letting other people into the club. When Hollywood started, it was mostly Jews. I think they were trying to escape oppression and the ability to act freely and perform their arts. So they set up in what became Hollywood. And it just kind of grew from there. And over the last 100, maybe 120 years, it has become most prevalent to the point where it pretty much controls culture for the most part. And it's become more and more diverse, especially over the course of my lifetime, the last 40 years. It's become much, much more diverse to the point where in the 80s. A lot of you probably didn't know. I mean, those of you who are into movies as I am know that Ramirez from Aliens is actually a white lady. Yes, it's John Connor's stepmother from Terminator 2 in brown face. I didn't know because she looked a lot like a couple of the people I was in the military with, but yeah, that's damn crazy. But these days, and again, you shouldn't force diversity. I don't expect you to put white people in a show that's made about Africa or in Africa or even about their history. I don't expect you to put Asian, even Middle Eastern, white, Eskimos. I don't expect you to put anyone except for people who are from that area in that game or movie or show. The same way I don't expect you to put anyone else in something that's made from like Scandinavian folklore. Now, if it's loosely based on that, then that's fine, especially if you do it right, where you make it like a futuristic, like what's it called? Horizon Zero Dawn. If you do it something like that, then yeah, you can get away with it because it's technically the future where everyone has, like, the world is broken down, started from scratch, and people are slowly finding bits of technology from the old world. And that was actually a really cool franchise. It sucks they ruined it with the sequel.
Is what people revolt against, and companies
PlayStation's
don't
good
really
at that.
know the difference, but Square Enix has an internal ethics department that over the years has censored certain content, forced certain content into video games, and really just made games more marketable to what they call global audiences, aka sensitive snowflakes across the world. And that is a major reason why they have faced major problems over the past couple of years, along with just not making high quality games that people want, or when they actually do release games with a higher level of quality, they end up falling kind of flat for people story-wise.
And real quick, one, this was never really a case in RPGs, especially Western RPGs of 10 or 20 years ago, because one, there was always a way to make your character gay, whether it was male or female. It's a lot easier for female because, I mean, let's be honest, straight guys were doing that too. But but then also you can control every aspect of what your character looked like for the most part. I mean, there could always be more hairstyles, more frames and such. But for the most part, Western RPGs were always really good at letting you create your character to look more like you, if you wanted to, or to look like anything. And then especially in BioWare, it was in there, but it wasn't forced. It was able to be accessed, and especially if you're a completionist, people saw these endings anyway, these branched paths. But now people are acting like, oh, they just hate it because it's representing the community. No, we hate it because you've made what used to be an open world franchise into the most linear experience I've ever experienced, minus probably the Lightning games from Final Fantasy. But yeah, it's awful.
And also gameplay mechanics wise, though we have heard recently that they are going through a major shakeup, that they are firing lots of people. Square Enix is going through major layoffs. Hundreds and hundreds of people have now been let go. But we're also hearing the chief publishing officer and head of the Western branch of Square Enix has officially resigned ahead of the wave of layoffs. And really, if you take a peek at his social media presence, he has melted down in the past regarding woke criticism. So I think that, of course, it is always sad when people lose their jobs, don't get me wrong, but there are always going to be people I can't sympathize with. Individuals within the video game industry tend to be raging activists. They are raging leftists who do not want to listen to other people's opinions. And of course, there is a big disconnect between these large companies and their customers. They either don't know what we want or they have a general idea, but then they change it around so much from what we actually requested that then people end up revolting. Look at something like Assassin's Creed Shadows. We had asked for years for an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, and it really shouldn't have been that hard. Have a male Japanese protagonist and a female Japanese protagonist. You add some really cool, unique Japanese lore and cultural references. You pick a good time period, and if they really wanted Yasuke in the game, they could have just made him a side character, maybe a companion who helps the main characters, but because they decided,
or even just had it be a DLC character. But yes, you could have included Yasuke, had a mission where you played as Yasuke trying to save the protagonist, so on and so forth, or DLC, or make a spin-off game like Liberation.
This is the person who is going to be our first.
And don't have him bang the mother of Japan, who was known for her purity.
Playable protagonist. It raised a lot of red flags, and a lot of people saw through Ubisoft's BS that they didn't just do that because they thought.
Why? Because it disrespects Japan. Like, they take their history and their culture very seriously. And that's their right. It's their culture.
It was the best story to tell. They did it for political reasons. And Square Enix is a company that makes a lot of decisions based on politics as well. And it's sad that Square Enix has fallen so much so fast because they have made some really amazing games in the past. They have some really amazing series. But this is another company that just doesn't always know what their customers want. And I do think a major problem is the people that they are hiring. We know that they have a lot of Western developers within their ranks, and they have hired a lot of snowflakes for positions like internal ethics departments. I think that that is an absolutely wild job to offer. I think it is insane that you are so against creative freedom that you have to have a department that looks over your developers' work to tell them what is socially acceptable in the Western market and what isn't acceptable, what can and can't be sold to the average customer, even though the average customer doesn't care about seeing, I don't know, large women's breasts in video games. Like, why do you have to censor Tifa? You're pissing off your established customer base, all to what appeal to a.
And I will say, Tifa's titties got way too big. I'm just saying, like, scaling them down a little bit, sure, but making her to where she looks like the, you can't say Ellen Page anymore. Someone representative of Ellen Page when she was Ellen Page and not Elliot. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, you got to keep it within, because people like that exist. Are they too big? Yes. Was jiggle physics ridiculous in the Dead or Alive era of video games? Yes. But at the same time, I mean, who cares? If you don't like it, become a developer, make a video game of your own, where people jiggle less.
A couple of snowflakes who
Make a video game with fat fighters and make sure the jiggle physics are accurate.
Aren't going to buy the product in the first place. But this individual right here, John Heineke, I think that's how you say his name, is the perfect example of the type of person that they have hired over the years. Now, he has actually resigned, which I think is so great, but boy, oh boy, has he melted down a bit on social media. So, the chief publishing officer and head of the Western branch of Square Enix has officially resigned ahead of the wave of layoffs. He responded, "Piss off," to concerns of woke ideology in video games, and he was the direct voice of the Western market to Japan. So, he has made a couple of posts that people are now screenshotting and bringing up. Here's the first one. "Yesterday, I announced to my team at Square Enix that I have decided to resign from my role as Chief Publishing Officer effective on November 21st. This has been a difficult decision as it means that I must part with a very talented group of high-performing and passionate co-workers and friends across the US and Europe." It has been my
Oh, this is the Western team? That's not true.
Alongside and to learn from such an amazing team.
They're not any of those
I want
things.
to thank the Square Enix leadership team for entrusting me in this role and giving me such a
At least not when it comes to the
fantastic
storyboard
professional
writers.
opportunity. And I want to thank my teammates and colleagues for their support throughout my 7 years at the company. Finally, I'd like to thank all of the Square Enix players and fans for your passion and enthusiasm. Your energy keeps our teams fueled more than you know. So yes, he worked closely with Japan as a senior leader of Western publishing business, interacted directly with the CEO and leadership teams in Japan to illustrate needs and challenges in Western markets and to propose solutions. So he is one of the major individuals, the lead individual actually, who told them what was and wasn't acceptable in the Western market. He is based in Los Angeles, California.
Imagine.
So you can already tell the type of person that he most likely was. And this could be very positive for gamers. If they actually hire somebody who knows what gamers truly want. And he actually responded to a comment left by someone named Azif Zahor, who said when AAA starts pushing agendas gamers don't want to see, they pay for it by not buying the game. Fire the long-term failing CEO and the staff that embraced woke ideology. And John here said,
That's not a bad,
piss off, as if that
not a bad argument.
legitimate concern when it is. There are so many companies who do focus on pushing agendas. They do focus on the narrative that they can shove in players' faces and the political statements that they can shove in players' faces.
Yeah, and how dare you silence this very clearly not white voice? How dare you, Mr. Whiteface? Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going against your own things. I love how it's always okay when they believe the other side of things. That's my biggest thing. I will never understand how you can stifle the speech of someone who looks or is in the community that you are claiming that you represent, especially when you're not in that community. Again, Mr. Cracker. But you will stifle anyone from that community when they disagree with you. You, sir, are so far gone. You've circled back around to retardation. You have devolved into a monkey fish frog.
Instead of going into a project simply focusing on entertainment and creating a product that is going to be used
Talking
as
about
a form of escapism.
John here. I'm pretty sure he's white. Let me Google that just to make sure I don't want to get canceled for not knowing.
In a very positive manner or in a very insightful manner, in a way that sounds like he was actually listening to customers and criticism. No. He decided to say, oh, piss off. You know, you don't know.
Oh, he's very white. He looks like a senator. Fuck that guy.
You're blowing this out of proportion. Absolutely ridiculous. And he is actually one of the lefties who cried about freedom of speech surrounding the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Disney dropped the ball on freedom of speech.
First of all, Disney does not allow, no job allows you freedom of speech. You are allowed to speak as freely as you can until HR gets involved. And that includes everybody, even people you don't think are oppressed. Everyone deserves the same amount of respect. And, you know, I mean, what me and my friends talk about ain't exactly what you and your friends are going to be talking about. My favorite thing when it comes to this, I was sitting with a black friend of mine, and it's relevant to the story. And we were talking about, we were like, oh, hey, we're talking about this dude named, we'll say his name's Smith. And there were two Smiths within the place that we worked. And there was a white Smith and a black Smith, which is just funny to say out loud. But, and he asked me, he's like, are you talking about white Smith or black Smith? And I said, blacksmith. And this other white dude came around and said, whoa, no, it's not blacksmith. He's African-American Smith. And I look at my black friend and I said, man, can I ask you, are you black or are you African-American? And without skipping a beat, my black friend said, I'm an N-word. And the look on this dude's face, this white dude's face, priceless. don't jump into other people's conversations, okay? You cannot be more offended than the people that you're claiming to defend. You're just a grifter. You don't care about anyone except for your own clout. Fuck off. Anyway.
Sadly, they value their pending merger more than free speech, which I think is so fucking funny. Coming from somebody at Square Enix, a company that has an internal ethics department that tells employees the way that they can and can't act, what they can and can't post on social media, and the content they can and cannot create for their video games. Where is the outrage surrounding freedom of speech and freedom of expression within the company you previously worked for? That's right, you didn't care up until it directly affected you. I hate people like this. You either are against freedom of speech and freedom of expression, or you are for it. You can't just flip and flop depending.
And I love how people defended Jimmy Kimmel and called it a freedom of speech issue. When you're in the news or you're on national television, you're not allowed to lie. When you're talking about current events, and yes, late night is considered a news source by some metric, you cannot lie about things. You can skew things for humor's sake, but he wasn't telling a joke. He was doing weepy Jimmy Kimmel things where he was standing on stage pretending to cry when that young man. But he was very purposefully saying the wrong thing, saying something that was factually untrue. That's not covered by freedom of speech when you're on TV, when you're at work. Okay? You are representing the company that you work for. You're not representing you. You're representing what ABC, I think, is the channel that he was on. Or is on. You represent ABC, which represents Disney. You are representing yourself, yes, and people can like or hate you for what you do, but it also reflects on the company because you're out there and all the ads and all the little icons, ABC and Disney, are everywhere. It's just the fact of the matter. Freedom of speech does not cover you at work. If you get fired for calling someone, you can't decry freedom of speech because I'm sure it goes against many rules from your workplace. Continue.
On what suits your fancy. It's like with the Jimmy Kimmel situation. We saw a lot of comments like this made after the Charlie Kirk assassination. We saw a lot of people take to social media and basically say, oh, freedom of speech is important when they hadn't fought for it in the past. And they also aren't bringing up the fact that the Final Fantasy XIV forums were banning people for talking about the disgusting behavior of their localization team. But of course, that doesn't matter to them because they don't actually care about freedom of speech. And now people are on social media pointing and laughing at John's resignation. I personally am not going to shed a tear for him, especially after the comments that he's made in the past. People are saying things like, looks like Azif got the last laugh. Maybe we will get some class RPG style games again from Square. Thank you for all of the detail info you provided. It's incredible to see how the western branches of Square are getting decimated. Square Japan really listens.
It's pretty damn funny, I'm not gonna lie.
Just about wokeism, which I agree, but I do think it is a very major part. Once again, I have alienated our target demographic, Square Enix in a nutshell. These are the positions that are poisoning the entertainment industries. They position themselves as the sole authority on what audiences want, and companies take their suggestions at face value rather than investing in independent sources. Good riddance. Not that it changes back to what it's supposed to be around 2015. Finally, gaming is healing. We all knew this was going to happen eventually. I'm glad it's finally here. So yeah, I'm not going to shed a tear for all of the people at Square Enix that ended up getting fired and let go. And of course, as I always say, I'm certain there are a few good apples in the bunch that were let go, some actually talented and passionate developers, but
and I'm sure there are too.
Is that the well has been poisoned to the point where I can't sit here and really feel all that bad. So the chief publishing officer and head of the western branch of Squeenix has officially resigned ahead of the wave of layoffs. And funny enough, in the past, he has completely dismissed people's criticisms regarding the state of the video game industry, the state of Square Enix, and people are pointing and laughing at him on social media.
and that's what literally what the Gamergates were for, the first and the second one. It's about journalism and gaming and the corruption between the two. But again, that's all I have for today. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. My slowly growing community. And I appreciate all the people who come in here trying to peddle things to get my community to grow faster. It's not really my thing. Now, if you're legit, hit me up on X and we can talk from there. But if you're not, I appreciate the engagement either way. I'm not going to discourage you from doing your thing. Go out there and make your bag, bruh. But, you know, you ain't going to get it from me. I'm sorry. I've already had enough people trying to get money out of me for bullshit art online. Great artist if it allegedly was their own stuff, but some of them I think was AI because they said they knew what I was talking about, that they clearly had no idea what I was talking about. But that's all I got from today. Wanted to try to get something just a little more gaming related. I'm not going to do serious news all the time unless it's something that interests me. That's all I'm really going to do here is stuff that I find interesting, that I think other people might, or that I might be able to build on, that I might know something about. But this one, I mostly just let her talk and comment like, but at least, you know, I'm still here. I sat in my chair, unlike Hassan Piker, but there's no camera of that because my room's a bit of a mess and I don't feel like turning on my camera for right now. But anyway, that being said, thank you for stopping by. I very much appreciate everything you give me. Please drop a like. Share and follow me on Rumble so I can start doing my this morning show, the more political version over there. Eventually, I'm hoping to make YouTube just a clip channel or a segment channel and lead everyone to my other channels on Twitch, Rumble, and Kick. But that being said, thank you very much, and we will see you all tomorrow or tonight. We're going to continue our efforts on Outlast. And then tomorrow morning,